The AP Lang Rhetorical Analysis Essay Review Session. I'm recording it just in case you couldn't make it or if you wanted to review it at home on your own. I hope all of you are doing well and hanging in there. The test is coming up very shortly. So I thought we would start with a sample rhetorical analysis essay. So here is the link, and I shared this presentation with you so you can click on it. And the essay that we're going to look at is this one by Maria Stewart. All right, so we're going to use this as kind of a sample in terms of what we do next. So let's take a look at the big picture overall. The rhetorical analysis essay is one of 3 essays that you're going to write. You get 40 minutes total to write it. You get about 10 minutes to read and about 30 minutes to write. It is based upon an older nonfiction text. They usually pick an essay, speech, or a letter. And it is not just a writing test, but it's also a reading test. So for this essay, you're going to be tested in terms of your reading skills. And can you read something older and more challenging and kind of get the point of it? So let's take a look at the steps that you should do in terms of analyzing it. So step number 1, please carefully read the prompt. It is really important that you understand what are they asking you to do, and they give you a lot of hints about the rhetorical context that you really need to consider before you analyzing it. Some things to keep in mind. Who is the author? What do you know about this person? Who are they speaking to? Is the audience going to be open, hostile, or indifferent to the whole situation and the author? If they give you a date, a location, or an occasion, please note that. And I want you thinking about that as you go through it. And also, what was happening in society at the time of the text, because this is also important as well. So I'm going to kind of model that for you with our sample prompt. So if you look at the sample prompt, when I read it, what do I find out? Okay, first of all, it's in Boston in 1832 by Maria Stewart, an African American educator and writer. So right there, that tells me a ton. I don't know exactly when the Civil War started. I don't know exactly when the Emancipation Proclamation freed all African Americans, but I know that 1832 is a little bit beforehand. All right, so this is where some historical knowledge is important. So this is before that. And so it's kind of important to understand that this was really rough transitional moment. It was before a lot of major events happened in America. It is being delivered in Boston, which I would reckon would be a little bit more liberal, a little bit more open to different ideas. And the fact that Miss Stewart is an educator and a writer in this time period tells me a lot as well. So the fact that she is a teacher, that she is well versed in writing, that for many African Americans, the right of an education really wasn't granted to them. So all of this informs what she is doing here. So if you look at the prompt, they also want you to write an essay in which you analyze the rhetorical strategies she uses to convey her position. Okay? The last 2 words are key. What is her position? So you need to be very clear in your thesis, in your introduction, about what her position is. Okay, so I just read the prompt. Then I'm going to go to step 2. Step 2. All right, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to read and mark the text for lines and words that jump out at you or show the author's purpose. So this is the reading portion of the exam. Don't forget, on the real exam, you're going to be able to write on it. I know that because of virtual learning, we did everything electronic, but please write on the test. Actively mark it up. What I want you to mark are key lines or rhetorical strategies that you notice as you read. Things that we have noticed and done all year, like diction, syntax, tone shifts, similes, metaphors, rhetorical questions, anything that kind of leaps off the page for you. So you want to be just marking, circling the text as you go through it. I want you constantly thinking, what is the author's purpose? What is the point that the person is trying to make? And as you mark the text, it's going to be so much easier for you to pull it when you start writing your essay. All right. So if you look here, they give you the line numbers, and I would just be underlining, circling. You can develop your own system for how you want to do this, but it is critical that you are underlining and marking the text as you go through for things that jump out at you, things that make you go, and also that go directly to the writer's purpose. All right, step 3. Now that you've got finished writing, I'm actually reading, sorry. Now you're going to start writing. All right, so your introduction and thesis is critical. You actually get a point or no point, depending on how well you do it. Some of you write very long introductions. I would like for you to keep them between 3 and 5 sentences, partly because if you write longer than that, then you're going to run out of time to develop your body paragraphs. Your last sentence should be your thesis statement, and your thesis statement is the central focus of the essay. Now, don't forget, they give you what your focus should be. In other words, what is her position? Okay, so what is Maria Stewart's position that she's trying to make? So you have to clearly state that, all right? And I wrote be specific 3 times because the biggest problem I see are weak thesis statements. Here's an example of one. I see this all the time. Maria Stewart was trying to make many important points in her lecture in 1832. This is a terrible thesis statement. It's terrible because what important points? I don't really know what you're trying to say. Do you really get the point of the reading? Are you a good reader? Do you understand what she is trying to accomplish? I have no clue based upon your thesis. And you just need to be more specific than that. So please be specific. All right, step 4. This is the body paragraph and analysis. Now, it's really simple. All you're doing is you're pulling a key line from the text, something that you circled, explain how it helps the author's purpose or intent, pull another key line, and rinse and repeat. It's the same thing over and over again. So this essay can be a little intimidating, but if you really break it down to just what you see on this screen, pull a key line, tell me how it helps with the author's purpose or intent, then I think it helps simplify it in terms of what you need to do in the body paragraphs. So we've talked about blending quotes. We talked about not using gigantic quotes. You want to try and limit the size of your quotes that you're pulling. All right, so you're probably like, okay, how do I write the body paragraphs? What is the best approach? I think there are 2 ways of doing it. Approach number 1 is basically, this is the kid who just wants a very linear, easy format for how to do the essay. All right, so you could write all your body paragraphs starting from line 1, and body paragraph 1 would be from lines 1 to 22. So basically what you would do is just analyze anything in lines 1 to 22 that you think is interesting or important. All right, it could be diction, repetition, whatever. And then body paragraph 2 is lines 22 to 45. Body paragraph 3 is the last section. All right, so if this makes sense to you, and this is an approach that makes sense to you, then absolutely use it. The other approach is the rhetorical strategies drive the organization. So let's say that you find something cool like a diction and simile. Okay, so there's diction here at the very beginning, and then there's a simile here that you want to analyze, and then another diction here, and then another diction here. All right, so it's kind of all over the place, but you're going to use that in body paragraph 1. All right, so that's another approach to do it. Body paragraph 2 would have syntax, tone, anaphora, and body paragraph 3 would have rhetorical questions, and these would be from all over the text. All right, so you can organize it that way. I would just pick the approach that makes sense for you, that is easiest for you to do. All right, step 5, the conclusion. So let's say you're writing, you're in the zone, and then the proctor says 40 minutes is up. What should you do? Do not spend time on writing a conclusion. The reason why I tell you that is that it is going to be bad. All right. And so, because you're going to be rushed. So, why would you spend 5 minutes writing a really bad conclusion that is going to earn you no extra points with the graders when you could be spending that time writing another essay? I would go on to the next essay. But if you do have time, then your conclusion should be 3 sentences long. You want to restate the central argument or point that the author is trying to make. I don't want you to have a carbon copy of your thesis. It'll be similar, but slightly different. And please don't use all in all as a transitional word or in conclusion. Just start writing. The reason why I don't want you to use these transitional words is that you learned all in all in middle school. And it was a transitional phrase that the teachers used. It was age appropriate for middle schoolers, but as a high schooler taking an AP test, it kind of signals to the graders that you're still clinging and using middle school transitions, and that is not a good thing. So please don't use all in all or in conclusion. Just start writing your conclusion, okay? All right, here are the final tips and points. This essay type really requires you to read with intent. The reading is hard, and they're trying to get a sense of how good of a reader are you. So, what you want to do is make sure that you clearly show the AP graders that you get the point of the text. So, one of the biggest fears that students have is that what if I read something and I don't see any rhetorical strategies and I'm under time pressure, I'm freaking out, what should I be doing? Well, it's really simple. All I want you to do is just write an amazing essay analyzing the point of the text, pulling lots of lines from the text. That's it. So you don't have to label a single thing to do well. In fact, that is not required at all. A lot of kids get hung up on, well, I got to label this, I got to label that, and I got to know all the rhetorical strategies. Don't even worry about it. It is actually not necessary to score high. They just want to know whether you can read something hard and you can say something interesting about it. That's really the key for this essay type, is focusing on reading it and then clearly demonstrating that you get the point of the text, and being specific about that. You got this. You've been working on this all year. I have nothing but faith in you. And if you would like to talk more or if you have additional questions, I am always available for emails. And if any of this is confusing for you, you can also contact me as well. Best of luck.